Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 8 at Saratoga on Alabama Saturday is the $500,000 Saratoga Derby Invitational. 3-year-olds on the Mellon Turf Course going a mile and 3/16. Before we get to the analysis, head on over to the Saratoga Handicapping Shop at drf.com/spa for past performances, picks, clock reports, and betting strategies. They are the must-have tools to win big at Saratoga. Here's the field for the Saratoga Derby. The best 3-year-old turf horse in the country, in my opinion, is going to start favorite in here, Mike, and that's the number 2, Decorated Invader. He's won 5 out of his last 6. You can put him just about wherever the jock wants. He's very pace adaptable, and he's simply the horse to beat. Are you worried about him stretching out slightly in distance?
I really wasn't. I mean, we'll see what happens. He got the 9 furlongs last time. This is slightly longer. I really wasn't worried about him stretching out, Dan, especially because, as you mentioned, he's just been way more tactical this year. And I think that's going to pay dividends for him down the line. I just feel like this is, certainly, if nothing else, this is the toughest field he's faced all year.
Well, let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, because I'm allowed to disagree with the projector, and I'm going to disagree here. I think that Get Smokin's going to the front. I can't see a situation where Colonel Liam, even though he has shown some speed in the past, is going to deny Get Smokin the lead. Get Smokin was what, a country mile ahead of the rest of the field after the first half mile last time out? He's the lone speed in here. He's going to try to take him as fast as he can, as far as he can.
Yeah, that's sort of been his MO since the start of his career, basically. I mean, they just let him roll early. He has had, a real tough time holding on to leads in the stretch, and he's been beaten in his last 4 starts by horses that he's meeting up with again in this race. But I agree with you. This horse is going to be on the lead in here.
Bama Breeze, the number 1's been no match for Field Pass in his last 2 races. That race at Churchill Downs, it concerned me a little bit. He cut the corner sharply towards the inside. Maybe he was in a little bit tight that day and Field Pass got the better of him. He had some traffic in the Transylvania. I know you've always liked this horse and he has a little bit of ability. He's taking a big step up in class, though. Rusty Arnold likes him as well. He has not been afraid to test this horse.
It is a big step up in class as he stretches out a little bit further here. I don't know if I agree that I would say he's been, sort of no match for Field Pass. Yes, he had a clean run 2 starts back in the Audubon, but Field Pass absolutely crawled on the lead that day. I mean, he went right to the front and he walked on a very slow pace. And this horse, I thought, did really well just to get within a length of him at the end of that race. Last time, he just never got a clear path in that race. I got to be honest, Dan, I don't really care that much about riders. I like the rider change for this horse. Corey Lanerie just has a habit when he rides this horse of burying him on the rail in all of his races. I don't know why, but that's what he does. If this horse gets a better trip, I think he can factor in this race.
Here's Decorated Invader's win in the Hall of Fame earlier this Saratoga meet. Get Smokin exploded to an easy early lead. He opened up 8. Decorated Invader was in chase mode. Decorated Invader finally goes by a game. Get Smokin. Here comes domestic spending on the far outside, but Decorated Invader always finds a little bit more, Mike, and he's getting away pretty easy at the end.
Yeah, just too good for those horses. I agree with you. There was a point in upper stretch there where it looked like he was working really hard, and it might be close at the end, but as it all turned out, he won that race fairly easily at the end. I felt like domestic spending ran really well in there too, but he was no match for Decorated Invader. Listen, we'll see what happens here. Again, I do think this is the toughest field he's faced all year, but he's really good, and he's the horse to beat in here.
Looks like the 3 No Word is slowly racing himself back into shape for Todd Pletcher. Let's go back to his most recent start at Belmont, his 3rd race of the form cycle. And he was able to get up on the outside here and go past kind of a weakish field, Mike. And again, he only wins by a neck, but I think the margin of victory is a bit deceptive. From here, it looks like he's never really losing. I don't think distance is an issue. I think you have to question the quality of competition he beat in this field. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the runner-up. He came back to run 3rd with an 85 buyer.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't love that race overall. No Word ran fine in there and he got it done, but I didn't like the field that he beat and I wasn't that impressed with his win. I thought his effort 2 back was a little bit better. It does give me hope that he'll get the distance. It'll be no problem for him. I just didn't think he was this good.
We saw domestic spending come with a good late charge to finish third in the Hall of Fame. A nice performance considering it was only his third lifetime start. It was his first race in the stakes ranks, and he was coming from far out of it. You get the feeling in watching this horse that he is all potential. He's still learning the game. He's a little green with his lead changes in the stretch, but he does kick hard. And if there is some pace up front, I would expect him to be running hard in the stretch yet again.
Yeah, that's how I looked at him too. I thought he ran really well in the Hall of Fame, even though he couldn't get second in there. What I liked most about the Hall of Fame, Dan, is, it was the first time they went 9 with him off of 2 races at a mile. And not only did he stay to the end, but it was a sustained run that he made. I mean, he carried that run for a pretty long way. So it gives me hope that he'll get this distance. He is going to have to take another step forward here. He's done that in every start so far. He's going to have to do it again.
Christophe Clement has the horse to beat in Decorated Invader, but the B string's not bad either. That's Gufo, who's won his last 4 races, including this effort in the Grade 3 Kent. And Mike, I have a feeling that if you just wanted to put a stamp or a label on a horse that's maybe the horse best equipped to stay this distance, it's this horse. We see him rallying past everyone in the Kent.
That's how I looked at him too. I really feel like the longer the better for this horse. He's a really strong finisher. I got to be honest, Dan, I didn't love the Kent when I watched it the first time. I mean, it just felt like it was not a good field. This horse was on a real roll on the way into that race, and it just felt like he was going to win really easily. And I didn't think he won all that easily, so I was a little bit disappointed in his effort there. I feel like in retrospect, I'm probably being a little bit too hard on him. They're stepping him up here. He's going to have to run better than that against this field, but he might have it in him. This horse is pretty good.
Colonel Liam's turf debut was a revelation, I guess you could say. Let's watch it right now. He ran twice on dirt at Gulfstream for Todd Pletcher. He had to be placed first via disqualification in his debut. In his turf debut, Mike, he runs a 100 Beyer speed figure. Now, I have no idea where this speed figure came from. The race did come back very, very fast. We see Colonel Liam win very, very easy. He also had a very, very good trip.
He did have a good trip. Down to about the 8th pole of that race, it just sort of looked like it was kind of up for grabs, and maybe he was going to get it done, and maybe he wasn't. I did like the run that he put in to finish that race off. So I do think he ran well. Like you, I don't know what to make of the 100 Beyer speed figure. I'm not really going to buy into it just yet, but this horse is good. He was bred to get better on turf. They switched him to turf, and he got better.
Field Pass is just a likable horse for Michael Maker. He's already run 11 times. He is a graded stakes winner on synthetic. He is a graded stakes winner on turf. Let's watch his effort in the Transylvania last time out. He has now won 4 of his last 5 starts. He has Beyer speed figures that certainly put him within range of the leaders. And you know something? You mentioned his run in the Audubon 2 starts back where he went to the lead. Kind of interesting for a horse that spent some of his career coming from way back. It's nice to know that Tyler Gaffalione has plenty of options.
Yeah, you can ride this horse however you want. He'll do whatever the rider wants him to do. He wired that field 2 back on an easy pace last time. He just got an absolute perfect trip, but he was dead game in the stretch to get it done again. It just feels like all he does is show up and win, Dan. I'm not going to sit here and knock him. I can't say that I love him in this race. I do feel like he's going to have to run better than he's ever run before to beat this field, but this horse is good, and he's going to get another good trip.
And the third finisher of that race just came back to win a stake at Indiana Grand earlier this week. I liked what they did with Get Smokin' last time out. They just tried to bottom out the field that included Decorated Invader. They opened up 10 lengths on the backstretch. We still saw him fighting it out at the 3/16 pole, and he held very gamely. He's now running third off the layoff. Well, I don't think he'll be 10 in front here. He'll be in front turning for home, and this little horse has some fight to him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of that stuff. It just feels like he's in, really, really tough once again. He struggled to beat Field Pass. He couldn't beat Decorated Invader. He couldn't beat Domestic Spending. He's going to try it one more time here, and I don't think the extra distance actually helps him.
Top pick time for the Saratoga Derby Invitational. You're stuck with Bama Breeze. You're going to get a price. He's had some trouble in his races. He's been pace compromised in some of his races. You like the rider switch to Manny Franco. The thing I know you like best is the price.
Yeah, he's going to be a great price in this race, and I'm just not sure. Obviously, we'll find out a lot more, I think, on Saturday, and maybe he's just not just good, Dan. This is a really good field, but he's going to be too big a price for me to pass up.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Decorated Invader in here, but as Andy Beyer would say, Colonel Liam has the fig, and he's not going to be the favorite in this race thanks to the presence of Decorated Invader, and I think he's tactical enough to work out a trip and get the jump on the closers. I hope he drifts a little bit off that 7-2. Perhaps that is folly. 6258 for me, 1254 for Mike. It's the $500,000 Saratoga Derby Invitational, race 8 at the Spa, kicking off the late 50 cent pick 4 as an approximate post of 5:07 Eastern. Good luck.